to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
So item number 1, approval of the minutes. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the December 10, 2015 board meeting. I wasn't in attendance at that meeting, however, Chairperson Badger reviewed the minutes and allowed me to be her proxy. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I'll move approval.
I second. Thank you. Let's move to public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. If you would like to make a public comment, I would like to invite you to come forward and state your name for the record. No public comments? Okay. Let's move to item number 3. Item 3 is the executive officer statement. Julie, would you please give your report?
Yes. Good morning, members. Just a brief report this morning acknowledging that January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And in commemoration of that, we've had some activities, including a special training presented by Chris Stamborough, who was with an organization called Grace Network. This is a grassroots organization, and I've heard him speak at a couple of events, and has a very interesting and innovative web-based mobile app that identifies resources available to victims of human trafficking. So we had that opportunity for our staff to learn more about the Grace Network. We also created a short and very powerful public service announcement which featured our own board member, Michael Ramos. Unfortunately, he's not with us today, so we could acknowledge and thank him for his work on that public service announcement. And we're working with our partners and others in the industry to try and place those on networks so that the public can see and hear this message from board member Ramos about human trafficking. And then next week, we will be attending and presenting at the Human Trafficking Engagement Conference. 2 sessions will be held, one in San Francisco and one in San Jose. Robin Fommelby of our staff will be presenting on the things that the board is doing to assist victims of human trafficking, and very importantly, collaborating with other partners in this field. So that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions or comments? Thank you, Julie. So item number 4 is the contract report. Julie, would you please brief us on this item?
Yes, members, we have a number of items this morning. I'll just briefly highlight for the record each one of them. The first one I need to note for the record, there have been a couple of changes. Apparently, CompuCom, the vendor, has changed their name officially to Software One. The estimated amount of the contract, I'm pleased to inform you, has actually changed to a lower amount as opposed to what is in your report. The actual estimated amount now is $422,803.53. The term from February of this year through January of 2019. The second contract is for NWN Corporation in the amount of $351,331.62 for server equipment. And finally, another contract where the successful bidder is NWN Corporation for the amount of $301,030.31, and this is for needed backup equipment to replace that which is at end of life. We also have an amendment for CompuCom. I'm going to assume that CompuCom is the same company as item number 1, so if that is appropriate, we will note for the record that it is Software One. This is an amendment to bring all of our software licenses current, and the new amendment is in the amount of $18,302.20. Those are the items on this month's contract report. I would ask for your approval.
I'll move approval.
Second. Excuse me, vote? I did. You can't hear me?
No, you made a motion and you seconded it, but
I
you didn't
did.
actually do ayes.
Okay, I approve I approve, I give my approval for the board to execute the contracts.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. So let's, now we go to the government claims program. Item 5 is the government claims program consent agenda that will be presented by Nicholas Wagner, Government Claims Program Manager.
Good morning, board members Shavaro and Pearson. For the record, I'm Nicholas Wagner, and I will present the Government Claims Program agenda items. Item 5 is the Government Claims Consent Agenda. It consists of 508 claims. Before the board takes action on the consent agenda, item 125 for Sandra Amon has been removed for additional review. Additionally, item 177 for Wahlberg, Inc. has been removed so that the claimant may appear in February. Finally, item 366 for Limnia Energy and item 465 for Herman Myerson have been removed so that the claimants may address the board today. With the exception of the removed claims, staff requests that the board approve the consent agenda.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
I also second that and approve the consent agenda. Thank you. Okay. Nicholas, would you please brief us on consent agenda item number 366?
Item 366 is the claim of Limnia Energy. Limnia Energy requests compensation from the California Air Resources Board, State Controller's Office, Governor's Office, and the Franchise Tax Board in an amount exceeding $100 million for financial losses and punitive damages based on complex legal theories. Program staff recommends that the claim be rejected because it raises complex issues of fact and law beyond the scope of analysis and interpretation typically undertaken by the board. Appearing representing Limnia Energy is Scott Douglas Redmond, and appearing representing Franchise Tax Board is Mr. Bill Hilson.
Test.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond. If you could just please restate your name for the record.
Scott Douglas Redmond with Limnia XP Vehicles and a lobby and voter group known as the Alliance. Shall I begin?
Yes, please.
$1 trillion, or trillions of dollars with a T, does that sound like a lot of money to you people? I can tell you that does sound like a lot of money to the people sitting in this audience. In this scandal, this is how much of their hard-earned money the people in this audience and in this state and us had taken out of their paychecks and then either thrown down the bureaucratic toilet or shoveled into the private bank accounts of elected officials and their friends. We have previously given you the facts behind this case. Your bosses were fully aware of these facts in advance. We and other companies were asked to work with investigators to help prosecute these crimes. We had products which obsoleted the products that the criminals pulling off these crimes could not compete with. Because we did the right thing, we helped law enforcement. We got death threats, hackings, character assassination, blacklists, and more. That does not seem right. Will you, board members, make it right? If your answer is still no, that you refuse to make it right, and that you want us to go find $3 million to try and sue you, then we say, you've been served. We do sue you here and now in the court of public embarrassment. Get ready for the biggest revelations the new generation of digital news and forensics can bring to the public. Without breaking a single law, those revelations are now underway as I speak. I have copies of the evidence overview here with me if you or anybody in the audience wants their own copy. And I'd like to thank you for your time today and see if you have any questions or any answers.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond. I don't have any questions.
No.
Do you? Mr. Hilson, can you please state your name for the record and which organization you're here on behalf of?
Thank you, Chairman Person. Good morning, and good morning, Member Chavaro. My name is William Hilson. I'm a Deputy Chief Counsel with the California Franchise Tax Board. I'm generally charged with the oversight of FTB's settlement and litigation bureaus. I'm here this morning at the request of your board. We were provided a copy of the claim presented in this matter last week and asked to take a look at it. I've looked at the claim. I've done some preliminary digging around FTB to see if, to try to prepare to be able to answer any questions that your board might present. Unfortunately, other than what's in the claim, I really don't know anything about this, including why FTB is included in the purview of this claim.
May I ask him questions?
Excuse me?
May I ask him questions?
I would say this is not the appropriate forum to be asking the FTB some questions. Sorry for that. I would suggest that, after the hearing on your own time, perhaps if you want to contact Mr. Hilson or the FTB, you can do that.
Sure, great.
Thank you very much. So is there any discussion on this item?
No, I'll move staff recommendation.
And I agree with staff's recommendation that the claim be rejected. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time today. Nicholas, would you please brief us on consent agenda item number 465?
Certainly. Item 465 is the claim of Herman Myerson. Mr. Myerson requests leave to present a late claim for compensation from the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, an amount exceeding $25,000 for emotional distress, anxiety, and physical illness. Program staff recommends that the late application be granted because it meets the criteria required by Government Code Section 911.6. Additionally, staff also recommends that the underlying claim be rejected because it raises complex issues of fact and law beyond the scope of analysis and interpretation typically undertaken by the board. Mr. Myerson is here representing himself, and representing Corrections and Rehabilitation is Ms. Melanie Yang.
Morning, Mr. Myerson. If you could please just restate your name for the record.
Herman Myerson.
You can begin. When you're ready.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm an honorably discharged veteran of the United States Navy. I've served 6 years, receiving several accommodations. I went to work for the Sacramento Army Depot, where I volunteered to support our troops overseas, Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I receiving 2 medals and outstanding civilian service. After 8 years, the Army Depot closed and I went to work for the McClellan Air Force Base, receiving several more accommodations of outstanding civil service. Throughout my Department of Defense career, I never received any disciplinary action, never abused sick leave or vacation. I always went above and beyond what was expected of me. I have worked for the Department of Corrections for 16 years, 5 years at the California Medical Facility, and then my current job for 11 years. While at my current job, I volunteered to research and build in the institution 33 camera housings, parole wanted, a photo capture workstation at every institution. This was a very high-profile project. I took on the project and fabricated 33 metal cabinets after normal working hours and on weekends. This project was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. Again, I have never received any disciplinary action or abused sick leave or vacation time. I have never had an issue with any supervisor over the last 36 years of civil service until Hector Gomez and Leo Lopez started this retaliation against me for a meeting I had with their supervisor, Devin Holmes. I was ordered to go to the meeting. I did not volunteer, but this was the beginning of my nightmare. You have all the documents I've turned in. I have systematically used my chain of command. I have went to Leo Lopez, Hector Gomez, Devin Holmes, my union, a meeting with Devin, my union representative, Cheryl Wright from legal representing Devin, Tammy Irwin, state EEO, federal EEO, and now the board. I'm just asking for help. I want this nightmare to stop.
Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. Ms. Yang, would you please restate your name for the record and who you're here on behalf of?
Melanie Yang on behalf of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation.
Thank you. Do you have a response to Mr. Herman?
We don't have a position on the claim. We're here at the request of the board.
Thank you. Mr. Herman, do you have any more to add? Otherwise, we're going to see if there's any discussion. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this item?
I'll
Okay.
move staff recommendation.
I agree with staff's recommendation that the late application be granted and the claim be rejected.
Right.
Thank you. Well, let's move to, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
So moving to item 6, I've been informed that there are no applications for discharge from accountability for collection this month. Now we'll move into the Victims Compensation Program the portion of our meeting, and so we're closing the Government Claims Program portion, and we will be going into closed session now. Thank you.